On today's show,
we start things off by debating which NBA front office had the summer's best offseason.
what was the meme of the summer? Who will win Sixth Man of the Year? Are the Pelicans better without Boogie?
And nothing easy. We argue which squad is the toughest team to predict.
Part 3 of the Starters 50 Burning Questions starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to part 3 of the Starters NBA season preview. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
Thank you for joining us.
To his right, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lele. And last, certainly not least, down yonder, that's the bearded one, that's Trey Kirby.
Hey,
Yo! All right, we're continuing to tackle our 50 burning questions about the upcoming NBA season. If you missed parts 1 or 2, what's wrong with you? Go catch them on YouTube. But let's keep this party going here, guys, to question number 21 overall. It's a good one. Which team had the best offseason?
You get the best player in the game, you win the offseason. It's the Lakers and LeBron James. And he signed a 4-year deal, surprising everybody.
Right.
And signing him to that 4-year deal also means they could have the best offseason next year, because that's attractive for a Kawhi or another free agent to say, oh, this guy's going to be there for another few years.
And it's so much different than the way Cleveland was dealing with LeBron in his second tenure there, where it was always year to year. What do we do to keep him around? What do we do to impress him and show him that we're headed the right direction? LeBron is just saying, I'm here. People are going to come. We might not win it this year, but hopefully in the next 4 years it happens. The Lakers have been planning this sort of thing, the next star after Kobe Bryant, since before Kobe left. It didn't work out with Dwight. It didn't work out with LaMarcus Aldridge, Carmelo Anthony. I think it worked out probably the way they would have liked it, all things considered, to somehow end up with LeBron even at the end of the prime of his career.
Okay, let me rewrite this question then.
Yeah.
Let me rewrite the question. Besides LeBron going to the Lakers,
You got to start with him.
which team had the best offseason? Do you have an answer for that one?
The Toronto Raptors, they got a very good player as well, and Kawhi Leonard, who missed most of last season with injury and a little bit of internal conflict there as well with the San Antonio Spurs. And they had to give up one of their favourite players in franchise history in DeMar DeRozan. But I think if you're Masai Ujiri, if you have a chance to get a player like Kawhi Leonard, you go out and you do it.
Even if it's possibly for a 1-year rental.
Yeah, you have to make that move. I think you saw Sam Presti with Paul George last season, took that gamble, and it did pay off. And I think Masai Ujiri realises he had to do the same thing, because DeMar DeRozan was a fantastic player for the Raptors, no doubt about it, but he didn't have a great playoffs, particularly last season. And Masai Ujiri's job is to make the Raptors the best team they can be. Now, LeBron's gone to the Western Conference. That Eastern Conference is wide open. If you get a guy in his prime like Kawhi, go out and get it, and then you reap the benefits. And also throw in Danny Green as well. Danny Green gets overlooked in this deal, but a veteran presence, very good defender, and he can shoot the three-pointer, and also brings the right attitude to that team as well, and he's won championships before. So I think the Raptors had a very, very good offseason.
I like both of those. Lakers getting LeBron, tough to argue. Raps getting Kawhi. I think a team, front office, I guess, that had maybe an underrated offseason is the Indiana Pacers. And it's not as splashy as a LeBron or Kawhi, I get that. But they went out and made some solid additions in free agency to sort of get some backup guys, to give themselves a bit of a second unit to hopefully expand on that 48 wins that they had last year. And I'm talking about guys like Tyreek Evans comes in on a 1-year, $12 million deal. He played great for the Grizzlies last year. Doug McDermott, okay, 3 years, $22 million. It's a little pricey, but he's going to stretch the floor a little bit, give you some shooting as a backup guy. And Kyle LeQuinn, even from the Knicks, coming in on a 1-year, under $5 million deal. I like those additions. And a guy that I know that you liked that they got in the draft, they got a backup guard in Aaron Holiday, another Holiday bro in this league at 23 overall. That's a solid offseason for a team that, like I said, won 48 games last year.
Yeah, and they quietly have 2 max spots available next summer, because a bunch of those guys, like you mentioned, Tyreek Evans, only a 1-year deal, and then they got a bunch of guys like Darren Collison, Bojan Bogdanovic, Thaddeus Young, all coming off the books. Basically, it's Victor Oladipo and Doug McDermott that are really signed long-term, and then a bunch of cheap contracts.
Right.
They can make a splash. If somebody wants to go play with LeBron, sure. But hey, maybe you want to go play with Vic. Maybe you want to play
There's
in
more
Indiana.
than just corn in Indiana. That's what they say at Indiana Beach. It's true of the Pacers as well.
They have a beach. Wild.
Didn't know that. All right, moving on here. Let's hear from you guys, by the way, with all of these. Jump on Twitter, #TheStarters. We got an award question. Who wins the 2018-19 Sixth Man of the Year award? Here are our very early predictions. It's a tough one to predict, I found, but Trey goes Tyreek Evans. I just talked about him. Lee goes Kyle Kuzma with the Lakers. Tass goes Julius Randle for Sixth Man. We already talked about him for a most improved possibility. And I'm keeping it simple. I'm not overthinking this one. Give it to Sweet Lou Williams with the Clippers. Yes, I am saying he's going to go back-to-back. I do like the Randle prediction a lot if he is coming off the bench there in New Orleans, but Why not Lou? I mean, the guy comes in, he pump fakes guys out of his shorts, gets to the line, hits threes, he puts up a good 20, 25, it feels like every night. And it's just what he's born to do, just get buckets coming off the bench. If he did win it, it'd be his third Sixth Man of the Year award. That would tie him with Jamal Crawford. That also feels right to me. So I'm going Sweet Lou. I'm not going to overthink this.
Yeah, so I guess when the voters get down to the Sixth Man of the Year, they might just say, all right, give it to Lou.
Yeah, scored 20 on the bench again. Yeah.
I'm going with Julius Randle because I think he will be coming permanently off the bench for the Pelicans because they already have one non-shooter starting in Elfrid Payton. You don't want two out there, with Anthony Davis to give him some room. He was 16-8 last year. He started a bunch. 16-8. Imagine those numbers coming off the bench. They will expect him to score a lot. This guy plays hard. He can distribute. I think he's in the perfect scenario to win Sixth Man of the Year.
I'm actually going with Kyle Kuzma from the Lakers because I think he's in a great spot as well. He's not going to start over Brandon Ingram. He's obviously not going to start the small forward either. He's going to come off the bench and start firing away because LeBron wants to see other guys who can actually get their own shot or at least create a little bit of their own offense. Last year as a rookie, shot 37% on three-pointers. I mean, he's the ultimate modern-day power forward, like stretches the floor. He doesn't have the power forward's body, but he knows how to get buckets, and I like the way, the swagger that he takes out on the court as well. So he already scored 16 points a game last year. I think he's going to be able to
goes up.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good spot for him.
It's all about getting buckets. You mentioned him earlier. Skeets, Tyreek Evans going to the Pacers, I think, is in the mix for Sixth Man of the Year. He was great, like you said, in that role with Memphis last year when he had all the shots he wanted, basically. 19, 5 and 5, 45% shooting. He was shooting the three ball last year.
Yeah.
It's going to be similar with Indiana. He'll play the Victor Oladipo role, really off the bench. Pacers were 22nd in bench scoring last year, so there are shots to be had. I wouldn't be surprised if Tyreek Evans closes a lot of games for the Pacers alongside Oladipo, two guys who can create. That's a nice look for them.
And he was getting some buzz last year.
Definitely.
I mean, even though he had to get some starters minutes there, but that was on a bad team. So if he's on a good team in Indiana, I could see that coming into play. All right, next question. It's a classic here on the starters. What's your pun-tastic New York Post headline for this season? We got to predict the future when it comes to the Post headlines. What do you got?
You got to see the future, got to see the pun. After Frank Ntilikina hits a game-winning jumper with his favorite rapper, Fabulous, sitting front row, the Post honors him with, Frank, you be Nikilinum cover. It's wordy.
It's very wordy, but
It catches your
solid.
eye.
It's solid. All right. Frank,
Mine doesn't have a real shot of happening, but I think the Knicks get off to a great start under
Whoa!
Coach David Fizdale, and then Post goes with, nobody beats the Fizz.
Seinfeld reference. Run. Ain't no start for the Knicks.
Yeah, that's where mine falls down. But hey, I just wanted to get that Seinfeld reference in there.
Tess?
You guys are being positive. You guys are nuts. It's going to be a bad season in New York. It's going to be a hard knocks life for Kevin Knox. Even if he is going to have a good year out there, things are not going to go well for Kevin Knox and the New York Knicks. If you want to go positive, New York Knox, I mean, that probably it's already been done.
Yeah, I think I saw my man Kaplan had a run with the New York Knicks.
That's right.
I'm going to see your Seinfeld reference,
Yep.
Lee, and hit you with another one, sort of. I'm just going Junior Mint.
Hang on a minute. Didn't you pick this last year as
I
well?
did. I'm doubling down on my Tim Hardaway Jr. goes for 50 prediction from last year. I still believe Tim Hardaway Jr. can do this. Last year he had 5 games of 30-plus more points in one game. He had a couple games where he had like 35, 34, like the half.
Yeah.
And everyone's tweeting at me, Skeets, you're going to be right, you're
Yeah.
going to be right. Tim Hardaway's going for 50. I still believe Tim Hardaway Jr. has a 50-point game in him. And instead of Tim Bombs Away Jr., that's what I went with last year. They're going Junior Mint.
You used the same headline as last year.
Well, not the same. I mean, I changed the pun. I changed it up.
Oh,
It's
you
the
did.
same thing
He picked the
happening.
same six-man as last year with Lou Whelan as
This
well.
is actually the same preview as last year. This whole show is
Wow,
just
that really
replays.
just-
Who do you think's going to win the finals? Come on, man, be honest. It's
Man. I'm going to go Warriors.
the same show.
Yeah, it's the same.
Same show.
All right, we got to take a break. Lots more still to come. These are actually real, happening right now questions. When we return, it's into the up-down report, and we'll debate whether or not Rudy Gobert can win Defensive Player of the Year again. Look at that line. Up is down, down is up. We're in the up-down report. We got 4 more burning questions as part of our NBA season preview here. Let's hear from you guys on Twitter. Hashtag the starters, thumbs up or thumbs down. First one, guys. Are you up or down on the Pelicans being better without DeMarcus Cousins here for an entire season now? Him moving on to the Warriors. Ooh, Tess.
They'd be better with him. I think, we watched them in the postseason. They thrived, but we don't know what they could have become with Boogie Cousins. I think they couldn't make the move to sign him to a long-term deal because they've had so many misses on the wing. They're so desperate to pair a wing with Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday, which makes a heck of a lot of sense. So you couldn't pay Biggie, pay Biggie and pay Boogie, and Anthony Davis up front when they have so much money and other guys. So it makes sense what they're doing, but I think they could have become what they are right now, with DeMarcus Cousins.
I think they are better off actually without him. And look, DeMarcus could still be a very, very good player. We know he's got to come back from that injury, but I think Davis probably is better off just with guys like Nikola Mirotic around him who can spread the floor a little bit. Now, Julius Randle won't do that as much, but at least Julius Randle can go and get his buckets. DeMarcus, he's obviously a good distributor as well, and he could.
Cousins could go get his buckets
I
too, man.
know, but I just sort of feel that Davis is one of those guys who's better as the solo star on the team and then surrounded with role players.
This to me is just more of an Alvin Gentry team as well. They're playing faster, leaner, just more space, more athleticism all around the court, and that to me is good for Alvin Gentry, and obviously it's good for Anthony Davis, letting him basically do whatever he wants out there. The level up that Drew Holiday has taken is really what is going to define if the Pelicans are better with or without Boogie, I think.
Interesting. All right, next one here, guys. Up or down on Rudy Gobert repeating as Defensive Player of the Year? Up, you think he does? Down, you say
repeat.
no. Why
The Jazz were dominant defensively in the 56 games that Rudy Gobert played. After the All-Star break, they really took off. They were clearly the best defense in the league, and I think that's going to still be the case again this year. He is the linchpin of their defense, and he's also the face of their defense. When you think of the Jazz having a great defense, it starts with Rudy Gobert. There were times in the playoffs where he struggled, no doubt, with Chris Paul hitting mid-range after mid-range, just because that's what the Jazz gave up. That's not every team in the league, though. So, yeah, I would imagine that Gobert puts up another strong
The intimidation factor with him is huge as well. Teams do get away from going into the paint when he's there because he goes after every shot. But Kawhi Leonard coming back is obviously going to change things a little bit. I don't know if he will be the same defensive presence for the Raptors as he was for the Spurs, because the Spurs have such an incredible system defensively, and Kawhi is going to have to do a lot more for Toronto to reach that level. But just to see if he can achieve what he did for San Antonio is going to hugely be important for Toronto's defense. And also last year, Draymond Green is another guy who had a bit of a down year. So it's going to be interesting to see if some of these guys come back and have that same defensive presence that they've had in years gone by.
I think Al Horford's going to sneak in a DPOE here before his career is over. I think he wasn't really appreciated in Boston's number one defense, I should say, last season. This year he will be, I think, because he's going to have to play more 5. And with Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving coming back, they're going to play 4 out and him at the 5. So people start to look at him and say, oh, this guy's 6'9", 6'10", playing center all the time. And again, first best defense. I think people forget that because...
Well, we always overlook Al Horford, both ends of the floor.
Period, yeah.
You know, that's been his entire career has been like that.
And sometimes when it does come to, especially the Defensive Player of the Year award, you have to it takes a couple years at times to get to the level where people go, oh yeah, he does deserve it. So maybe Horford is in that mix there. Because
there was some talk last year.
There was a little bit of talk, but that sort of gains momentum. I mean, Marc Gasol, he had that happen to him back in the day. Joakim Noah, the same thing. There was talk before he would eventually go on to win it, and then eventually both of those guys getting one. So it could be in play there for Horford.
And you just need Zach Lowe to write about you.
That helps. You need Zach Lowe writing about you. That's exactly right. All right, next one here. Are you up or down on the Washington Wizards regretting signing Dwight Howard? If you go up, they're going to regret it. You go down or not. Wow. Okay, Taz disagreeing with you guys.
Yeah, I'm being a Pete. I'm being a positive Pete to start. I think, yes, we look after he leaves Charlotte and he leaves Atlanta and we say, oh, that didn't end well. And there's the stories. Actually, Zach Lowe wrote a story about his Atlanta Hawks teammates screaming in joy, happiness into their phone when they found out that Dwight Howard had left. But throughout his season with the Hawks and the Hornets, it was all positive. There wasn't any sort of talk about him being a problem in the locker room. So, I think the Wizards situation can't get any worse than last year. I think he'll be entirely fine.
The only reason I'm going up is because at his introductory press conference, Dwight said, I learned magic for 8 years, went to La La Land, worked for a while with Rockets, learned to fly with some Hawks, got stung by the Hornets, and it all taught me how to be a Wizard. And when I heard that, I was like, the Wizards, they probably already regret this. They're getting the full Dwight treatment. What was that all about?
Dwight
spent a whole summer rehearsing his opening lines. I love it.
Last season, 17 points, 12 rebounds on 56% shooting in 81 games. On paper, every team would take a player like that who's available. But no one really wanted him except for the Wizards. The Nets traded for him and then waived him, and then the Wizards came in and gave him that contract. Obviously, the Wizards traded away Marcin Gortat, so they had a vacancy in that center spot. If Dwight can finally accept, hey, be a defensive presence, we'll throw you lobs, he can still be a very effective player, but he just carries enormous baggage everywhere he goes. And in a situation like Washington, I'm not sure that's going to work out all that well.
Right, who already had some problems
Yes.
last year. I mean,
Yes.
that was with Gortat and Wall. Could you not see a similar scenario, though, between Dwight demanding the ball, 2 months in from John Wall or Beal and not getting enough touches?
But
And they're
what-
saying every time we give it to you, you travel.
Yeah,
you
he wants
turn
the
up-
post
like,
up.
what do you want?
But was that happening in Atlanta and Charlotte the last 2 years? It really wasn't.
I mean, you're
It
you're
just
right.
happened at the end of the season when he got dealt. And I think one big difference between this year and last year, he's only getting paid $5 million
Yeah,
this year.
fair.
Versus 23.
Well, he's still getting that money, though.
He's getting it, yeah,
Yeah.
but the Wizards aren't paying him that, and
No.
maybe he realizes, all right,
Yeah.
I'm not the old Dwight.
That's possible. All right, final one here in the up-down report. It's a great one. Are you up or down on the idea of Space Jam 2? LeBron says this is happening. Space Jam 2 is a go.
You're down, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I don't have a thumb. We forgot our thumbs in Vegas. We only got 3 of them. You guys are all up on Space Jam 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly tough. I loved Space Jam when I was a kid. Now, as a grown man, I don't love Space Jam. But I got a kid now. My kid's probably going to love Space Jam too. I'm happy that LeBron, I'm assuming, will star in it and, bro down with bugs or whatever they
Yeah.
do.
I'm just glad they're finally doing it because it's been rumored for so long. We're
Right.
always squashing it. Who's going to play this guy and who's going to play that guy? Finally, it's happening. So, yeah, good to have it back.
Yeah, I think Kristen Ledlow will probably get in on the movie.
She wants in. She wants
So
in.
I'm thinking selfishly. I don't know. Maybe we can get some perks out of it because Kristen Ledlow is in it. Maybe it'll shoot in Atlanta. We can go down. Check it out.
You are right. If I did have a thumb, I think I would go up, even though I don't like Space Jam, the original. And I only go up because I'm tired of people asking us every month, every week, it feels like, if they redid Space Jam, who would be the new 5 Monstars? We get that question more than any question. The starters at NBA.com, by the way. And so now we can finally put that to
Yeah.
bed. We're going to find out, in theory, if we get these 5 Monstars again, we're going to have 5 players playing them, and then it'll be
Is it going to
done.
be the exact same storyline?
I mean,
is it a remake or is it like a?
No, it's I believe
LeBron's
it's
going
a
to
whole,
retire and play baseball for a little bit.
I believe it's a whole new story. But you've got to assume the Nerdlucks are going to be
Yeah.
there and Daffy's going to be there. You got to assume so. So let's hear from you guys. Are you up or down on the idea of Space Jam 2? We know Kristen Ledlow is tweeting right now. She's absolutely up. And I hope she gets in it.
Yeah,
I really, truly, hopefully she gets in it. Okay, we got to take a break. When we come back, we take the burning questions into the crossfire. Trey and Lee debate which team is the toughest team to predict. Back in 2.
Welcome to Crossfire. 3 rounds to determine who is taking home the belt. Question number 28 of 50 overall, gentlemen. We know some teams are going to be bad. We know some teams are going to be good. But which team has you scratching your noggin? Which is the toughest team to predict? Here we go.
I assume the Toronto Raptors are going to be pretty good, but we just don't totally know for sure yet until we see Kawhi Leonard play throughout the whole season. He could be the best player in the East, and if he is, the Raptors are probably going to be one of the best teams in the East, maybe the very best team, but we haven't seen Kawhi out of San Antonio yet. He's always played in the Spurs system. He had one season where he was the ball-dominant guy with the Spurs. Not to mention, this is Nick Nurse's first year as a head coach. There are a few questions to be answered in Toronto before I'm willing to say they're the number 1 seed in the East.
Yeah, well, what about the Portland Trailblazers? Really strong season last year. Then they got swept, having home court advantage by the New Orleans Pelicans in the first round of the
That was
playoffs. And then they didn't really go out and make any significant moves in the summer. They re-signed Jusuf Nurkic and they added Seth Curry. They lost Ed Davis, so they lost a couple of their veteran players and didn't really improve that team all that much. I can see them maybe finishing in the top 4, but also maybe dropping out of the playoffs. I say the Blazers.
You know what I can see? You winning this because Kawhi Leonard is amazing, Trey. The Raptors are winning the 1 seed. All right, question number 29 of 50 overall. And then we follow a 12-month sport. Basketball never stops, even in the summer. So tell me, what was the meme of the summer? Here we go.
Sticking with the Portland Trailblazers, and CJ McCollum had a very, very active summer, and it was really topped off when he was criticised for calling out Kevin Durant for joining the Golden State Warriors. And then CJ copped a little bit of heat from a fan, and when he replied, he said, "I'm trying, Jennifer." And of course, the internet went to work here. People started tweeting when the the Warriors here obviously saying, "I'm trying, Jennifer." Then someone found their fantasy football team name. It was fantastic. And then someone even tried to cash in They said these any purchases were going to charity, but of course that's what happens when a good meme is out there.
9 seconds remaining. Go
What
ahead.
is a meme these days? It's anything that makes you laugh on the internet. Nothing made the internet laugh more than the Lakers bench signings. Michael Beasley is flying under the radar here. LeBron tried to call them mud, but JaVale McGee named them literally the meme team. They got to be the meme of the summer.
Yeah, what is a meme? That is a very good question.
What is a meme?
Trey.
No one knows.
All right. Round number 3. We've got some creative marketing departments throughout the entire NBA. But tell me, which one is going to go to the edge this season? What will be the craziest promotional night this season in the NBA? Here we go.
Well, as I'm sure you know, Tass, this is the 20-year anniversary of A Night at the Roxbury, the second
course.
best Saturday Night Live movie ever made. An LA team needs to have a Night at the Roxbury night, and it's got to be the Clippers. So Bobby and Toby can show up as Steve and Doug Butabi and do the classic, "Are you guys brothers?" No. Yes, bit. Come on, A Night at the Roxbury, killing it, Lee.
I'm actually going with Dwight Howard at the Washington Wizards. At some point over the summer, Dwight Howard got all inked up. Look at it, it's crazy. We've never seen this before. And we know that Dwight likes to feel loved by a team, so I think the Wizards are going to have a Dwight tat shirt night where everyone who turns up gets a shirt with the inked sleeves of Dwight Howard. I think he's going to love that, and I think that's
You're
what
just
we're
trying
going
to get
see.
another free T-shirt out of this, I have a feeling.
Well, that also helps. Yeah, I do need some more.
All right, gentlemen, good battle. The winner goes to Leo.
Oh, yeah! Finally.
Congrats.
Finally. Start the season on a strong note, yeah. This is back where it belongs, back home, baby.
Oh, he's pumped.
One, yeah.
Coming up tomorrow, it's part 4 of the Starters NBA season preview series. We'll discuss which team is under the most pressure, which NBA sophomore will take that next step. No shortage of second-year players to pick from. And is this the year the Spurs finally missed the playoffs?
Who's saying yes?
We'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. Before we go here tonight, though, you guys were all up on the idea of Space Jam 2.
Love it.
And I talked about how we always get questions about who will be the new Monstars, who will be the 5 NBA players they pick. So let's just try and do it right now, right here on the spot. We know the 5 they used to have: Muggsy, Larry Johnson, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, and Sean Bradley. All right? So is Isaiah Thomas Bugsy? Because he's small?
Seems like the obvious choice there. Yeah.
Okay. And we know LeBron James is Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Ewing, Joel Embiid.
I like
Sure.
it.
Okay.
Telegenic.
Kristaps Porzingis, Sean Bradley. Super
Yeah,
tall.
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Charles Barkley, Draymond Green, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Got that.
Who's
that
got a
craziness.
mustache?
I don't know who Larry Johnson is. Maybe a Westbrook even as an athletic freak.
Yeah, somebody with a snarl on the court,
Yeah.
perhaps.
So there you go. Let us know.
All right, thank you for joining us. And remember, 30 questions down, 20 to go.
Brace the night, people.